Okay, so this is a segment that I don't have an official name for yet, but I think maybe I want to call it the Lucha Movie Spotlight. What we're doing here in this little segment is we're going to be talking about Lucha Libre movies and why. So these movies are a product of their time, really a product of the environment of what it was, what Lucha Libre was to the culture at that time, the level of entertainment that it was bringing, and they're fun, they're ridiculous, they're really campy, they're extremely charming. I think a lot of practical effects, a lot of just fun little things happening in them, and they're very fun to watch. I really enjoy watching them, and I'm going to include this segment in future episodes of this podcast because I just really enjoy these movies, and I really like talking about them, and I really like sharing what happens in them. And a lot of people have watched these movies. These movies, they did pretty good, but I feel like a lot of people they haven't watched them. Like they've heard of them, and they know, oh, El Santo. He did a lot of movies. He did the most actually of anybody of any luchador at the time. He did 52 of these films, and we're going to be doing Los Santo movies, but we're not going to be only doing Los Santo movies. Blue Demon, he had a lot of movies. Mil Mascaras, he had a lot of movies, and then other luchadors also had more than one movie made for them. And in a lot of these, they're horror, action, just things that involve a luchador saving the day, using his skills that he learned in the ring, basically, or using skills that he picked up in his travels, things like that. The movie we're talking about today is the 1971 film Los Campeones Justicieros. And this movie has two main stars, Blue Demon and Mil Máscaras. And then we have some supporting cast as well, El Médico Asesino, Tinieblas, El Gigante, La Sombra Vengadora. And then on the evil side, I guess as kind of an antagonist, I wouldn't even call him the main antagonist. He's more of a secondary antagonist, is Black Shadow. And if you know Black Shadow, he was really important to the history of Lucha Libre. And, he was in a few movies as well. But Black Shadow is also in this film. What the movie is basically about, and this isn't just going to be only a plot synopsis. I do want to talk about the plot because I do think it is very important and I do think it's very fun. But the movie is basically this team of five guys, Blue Demon, Mil Máscaras, Médico Asesino, Tinieblas, La Sombra Vengadora. These five guys, they are, working together and they're being targeted by this evil scientist. The movie opens up. They're at a show. They're at a wrestling event, Lucha Libre, and it's Mil Máscaras and Blue Demon, and they're wrestling. Just these two guys. I guess they don't really get a name at the beginning of the film. I don't even remember their name if they were given one later. But they're wrestling these two guys, and they're doing pretty well in the ring. And then these guys. These little henchmen, and I call them little henchmen because they are very small. These little henchmen just open fire. They just start lighting the place up with these little machine guns, which they weren't even originally machine guns. I don't know. I think they were their radios turned into machine guns. These little contraptions, these little devices, they just air it out. They're just pa 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 pa, blasting. They're just indiscriminately shooting in the ring. And somehow our luchadors are dodging the bullets. I mean, Mascaras gets hit on the shoulder, minor injury, flesh wound. It's just quite literally, it hit him, but he went past it. Blue Demon is dodging bullets somehow, and the range is not even that far. The bullets are, just normal bullets. So these guys have skills beyond the normal where they can dodge bullets, see where they're coming from, and, stay safe. Except for Mascaras, he took a hit. But the guys run away after they shoot up the place. It's like pandemonium in the chaos. They run away, and you see them meeting up with this evil scientist. And this evil scientist in this next scene, he's kind of angry at him. He's like, you guys didn't get rid of them. You didn't shoot them up. And he grants his little henchmen strength beyond their own, basically. He puts them in this machine, covers up their whole body, fires the machine up, and they come out, and he's like, well, I don't feel any different. I don't look any different. And he's like, he says to Black Shadow, because I guess Black Shadow, under normal means, is his strongest henchman. He says to Black Shadow, he's like, hey, fight this guy, test this guy out. And the little dude just beats the dirt off of Black Shadow, right? Just to show that his strength has been augmented so heavily, so much that Black Shadow is a pushover. And normally, Black Shadow is a very formidable opponent, probably on the level of Blue Demon, on the level of Mascaras. He's a formidable guy, but because of this evil scientist's interference, he is now relegated to just another henchman. Because if all the henchmen are strong, then, what is he? He's nothing special anymore, right? Anyway, the augmentation is not permanent. The henchmen, the smaller henchmen, they don't stay strong forever. They don't stay strong, it's a limited amount of time. And we see it throughout the film when there's a lot of ambushes, and I'll talk about this later, but they get ambushed by the little guys, and they're so shocked that these guys are just beating the dirt off of them, and their attacks are doing nothing to them because they're so augmented, they're so strong. But after a certain amount of time, the strength wears away, and they're just able to toss them around like nothing, basically. They're able to just beat them black and blue, basically. Anyway, the main plot centers around, it's a kidnapping plot. This is one of the big points in the plot. The evil scientist, the evil doctor, him and his henchmen steal a group of women, and these women were set to compete in a very prestigious beauty pageant in Mexico. I don't know if it's like Miss Mexico. I have no idea. I mean, when I was watching it, it was better explained, but the gist of it is they're competing in this beauty pageant, and they kidnap these women. I guess they're keeping an eye on where they are. They wait for all the luchadors to leave. They're in this unmarked car right outside the venue. The luchadors walk right by the car. They're suspecting nothing. They get on their motorbikes, they get in their cars, and they drive off. And then all the henchmen come out of the car, and they just run in. They cut the lights, they cut the communications so they can't call the luchadors. They grab up these women, and they transport them to the secret hideout. And the whole point is that they freeze these ladies in like a flash freeze chamber to make sure that they don't escape. And then they start loading them in these boxes because they're going to ship them off to another country for God knows what. But I guess this is part of the evil scientist's plan. Maybe he's going to conduct experiments on them in another country. It's explained better, but this is just the gist of it. And there's this sequence in the movie where Blue Demon and Mil Mascaras, they find where the women are going to be transported because they're getting taken out by plane. They're getting taken out on a plane. They load up the evil henchmen. They load up the plane, and it takes off. But Mil Mascaras and Blue Demon got in the back, and they're hiding out. And there's this scene where Blue Demon surprises the pilot, and he's like, "Take us back," basically land the plane. And the pilot is like, "Yeah, okay, I'll comply." The pilot takes his parachute and jumps out of the plane, and he's like, "Yeah, good luck, basically. I'm getting away, and the plane's gonna crash or whatever." Blue Demon does not have a parachute. This fool jumps out of the plane, free falling, somehow grabs onto the pilot, is pummeling him in the air, right? It's not like he's grabbing on and then like when they land, he pummels him. He's pummeling him in the air, just beating the dirt off of him. The only guy with a parachute. He's latched onto him, make sure he's not going to fall off. He's just beating him. And then when they get on the ground, he just keeps beating him. Meanwhile, Mil Mascaras is still in the plane overhead. He's somehow gained the skills to land this plane, to pilot and land this plane. So he lands it. And Blue Demon, when he gets down to Blue Demon is just still beating the dirt off of this pilot guy on the ground, just pummeling him, beating him hard. And basically, they get the women safely. They get them back on the ground safely. And there's a lot of action sequences like this that are, just kind of corny but fun. And they're not horrible, honestly. Like, when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, this is campy, but this isn't horrible. As long as you go into it knowing this is what you're going to see. You're not expecting to see, a Hollywood blockbuster. You're expecting to see a film of the time. And so the other sequences, there's a motorcycle chase with Mil Mascaras. He's getting chased by the henchmen, and they run his motorcycle off a cliff. This fool somehow reaches out, and he's falling off the cliff. He reaches out, grabs a tree branch, saves himself, pulls himself back up the cliff. The motorcycle careens off. It just keeps going, crashes at the bottom of the cliff, explodes. Mil Mascaras sees it explode. He gets back up. He climbs up over. He gets ambushed by these henchmen, by these little henchmen, and then one of the regular henchmen, or one of the taller henchmen. And it happens again. This sequence, again, is a very similar sequence to later on where the henchmen are trying to get away. They ambush all 5 of the luchadors this time, or I guess maybe 3 of them, and then the other ones show up, so it's more even. And then their augmentation kind of wears off, so they're trying to get away. They pack into this car and they start speeding off, but then I think it's Tinieblas or Medico Asesino. They pull out in front of the car, so he has to turn really quickly. He hits a post. The car careens again off a cliff. These guys don't get out of the car. The henchmen just straight up die in a fiery blast. The explosion, I'm assuming, just cooks them. And the whole time you just see these luchadors at the top of this cliff just looking over, watching, I guess, the car. They're just kind of like, ooh, like, this car has exploded. These guys are dead, but it wasn't us. And I guess they were evil. So I think it's just very funny the way the action is presented. Towards the beginning of the film, there's a lot of explosions. Towards the beginning of the film, we see Blue Demon. He's leaving this arena, and I think he's with this woman. He's leaving this arena. He has his bag, and I guess the person running the valet is going to go start his motorcycle for him, and he carries his bag to go put on the motorcycle and then start it and pull it up, warm it up, so Blue Demon can get on and speed away. This fool gets on the motorcycle, turns the key. As soon as the key turns, the motorcycle explodes, just blowing him to bits. Blue Demon does not say a word. I don't even think he blinks. He looks at the explosion. It cuts back to Blue Demon looking at the explosion. His teeth are just clenched, and that's it. He watched this guy get blown to smithereens, and it looks like he's more preoccupied about his luggage getting hurt than the guy's health or anything, because he's just kind of like emotionless, teeth clenched a bit, but nothing is really said after that. There's a lot of fighting in random fields. Like I said, there's a lot of ambush scenes where Blue Demon or Mil Mascaras will be walking in this field, going to try to meet with somebody to, rescue these women, figure out the whereabouts of these women. And the henchmen, all the little henchmen just run out and just start beating them like dogs, basically. And they're doing a lot of Lucha Libre moves out in these fields, and it's pretty entertaining, I think. It's very entertaining to see them just do Lucha Libre moves out in a grassy field, fighting each other. And they always have the upper hand at first, and then, our champion luchadors, they flip the script and they start winning. There's a mind control subplot, which is, just classic for these films. La Sombra Vengadora, he gets set up, basically, and I'm going to talk more about who sets him up later, but he's kind of tired, like he's asleep in his house, and somebody calls him on the phone. He picks up the phone, and I think it's like the evil scientist on the other line, and he's talking to him, but then somehow knockout gas starts coming out of the phone receiver. I don't know how. The evil scientist has somehow sent knockout gas from his location through the phone lines to wherever La Sombra is, and it just weakens him. He gets up. I guess he tries to leave his place to go get help. Outside of his door, the other henchmen are waiting. They just bust his door down. They literally just punch his door down, beat the dirt off of him in his own house, kidnap him. They capture him. They take him to the hideout. It's like 5 guys beat him up. They take him to the hideout. They like try to interrogate him. They try to break him, and then they force him to fight this other guy, this other, I guess, luchador, this other fighter. They force him to fight him to the death, basically testing his strength, seeing how strong he really is, to see if they really want to mind control him. And like they just have him in the middle of this room. All the henchmen are like in a circle watching him just fighting this other guy, and they're beating each other pretty bad. But La Sombra ends up killing this guy just straight up to the death. He, like, using wrestling move, he kills this guy, and he's just laying there dead. And then they give him some sort of drug. They drug La Sombra and they mind control him all the way till the end of the movie. So now La Sombra, it's 4 against, it's just the Tinieblas, Medico Asesino, Blue Demon, and Mil Mascaras. La Sombra's not on their team anymore because he's mind controlled, basically. So we're getting towards the end of the film, and this is after the women have been rescued from the plane. After they land the plane, it's Tinieblas and Medico Asesino. They're in a boat. They're water skiing, jet skiing, I guess. I don't know what the correct term for that would be. Jet skiing with this woman who's been with them the entire time. Her name is Elsa. And Elsa was not kidnapped with the other models. she's just, I guess, kind of their friend at this point, and I think she might have some sort of romantic interest with La Sombra because she was the last person with him before he got kidnapped at his house and, you know, got the dirt beat off of him. And they're, you know, Médico Asesino, Tinieblas, they're wearing some classic Speedos. They're out on the water. They're on these boats, on this boat. They're jet skiing. They got a nice tan going. Elsa bails off the jet ski. Médico Asesino and Tinieblas are like, oh, she must have gotten tired. But then they hear this ticking. They look down. Time bomb. They jump off the boat. They start swimming back to shore. They get pulled down under the water by these henchmen with scuba diving gear. And they fight these guys underwater, and they win. Because at this point, Blue Demon and Mascaras have just pulled up from rescuing the women in the plane. They jump into the water. They help beat the dirt off of these guys underwater. They get up out of the water, and then they're like, we know where they are, and we know who has been setting us up. It's been Elsa this entire time. Elsa has been working for this evil scientist and selling them information, or selling them out basically to this evil scientist, setting them up for every time they've been ambushed, every time they've been attacked. It's been because of her. She was the reason that La Sombra was captured. So they go straight from, they don't even like suit up or anything. They go straight from here to the evil scientist's lair because, and you can tell they go straight from there because Tinieblas and Médico Asesino show up still wet and in Speedos. And the first scene of this final fight is Tinieblas. The henchmen are posted up with guns. Like, they have machine guns. They're posted up ready to shoot. Tinieblas runs in, dodge rolls through the bullets. The bullets completely miss him. He picks up this little henchman, twirls him around, and hurls him through this really complicated looking piece of lab equipment. It explodes. And then the fight continues. They're fighting all the henchmen and stuff. They're getting the upper hand. As they're fighting, the evil scientist is standing in the corner of his lair. They don't even get to capture him. This fool pops a pill. I don't know what type of perk he was on. He pops a pill, and he just slowly disappears. Like, his body just slowly dissipates into nothing. So I don't know if it's some sort of teleportation pill, some sort of invisibility pill, but the scene where it happens is just so funny because he just fades away slowly after popping this pill. Blue Demon fights Black Shadow. Before he fights Black Shadow, they free La Sombra's mind, and he's like, where am I? And Blue Demon is like, you were captured and put under mind control by a drug. And La Sombra just straight up says, oh yeah, now I remember. Thanks, Blue Demon. And then he's like, let me help you fight this guy, talking about Black Shadow. And Blue Demon's like, no, it's time we settle this score. And all the henchmen are kind of captured. Tinieblas and Médico Asesino are holding them at gunpoint, make sure they don't try anything. Mil Máscaras and La Sombra are watching Blue Demon and Black Shadow fight in the middle of this lab. Blue Demon wins. Cuts to the next scene. They are at this pageant. The women are better now. You know, they're not captured anymore. They're not frozen. They're at this pageant. We get a scene of that. And then all 5 of these guys jump on their motorcycles with supermodels on the back, and then credits roll. They're just driving off. Just beginning to end, it's cinema. I would highly recommend watching this. If you are interested in it, it is on YouTube. Has English subtitles. You can watch it on there. The quality is not perfect, but it's not horrible. It's watchable, at least. Los Campeones Justicieros. I don't know if I said the name at the beginning, but if I didn't, I'm saying it now. Los Campeones Justicieros. You can look it up. There's a part 2 and a part 3. I've not watched those yet. It's kind of hard to watch part 2 because I can't find it in good quality. I might have to actually find like a DVD or something to watch it. Part 3 you can find in good quality, but I want to watch 2 before I watch 3. But I really would highly recommend watching it. Even if you don't want to read like the subtitles, and if you don't know Spanish, you could get through the film without really understanding any of the dialogue, because the action and the way the sequences are built, you're kind of understanding what's going on just based on seeing what's on the screen. So to a degree, you're still understanding what's happening. You're still getting that enjoyment, and you're still being able to watch the film. So yeah, if I had to rate this film, and this is a scale, not out of all movies, out of Lucha Libre movies, this has probably been my favorite one that I've watched. I would give it a solid 5 out of 5 on the Lucha Libre movie scale. And I would highly recommend watching it. It's very fun. It's very entertaining, and it's worth the hour and a half that you're gonna spend watching it, especially if it's on a Saturday. If it's at night, you don't got nothing to do, you don't got nothing to watch. There's no events going on. There's no matches that you want to see. You want to watch something campy and fun? Pop this in. It's definitely worth watching.